Welcome back everyone to this quick lecture on mathematical functions. We're going to quickly explore some mathematical operations that we can perform with SQL. And this is actually all just best shown through some examples and also by showing you where you can find all the examples of mathematical functions in the documentation. So to do this, I'm going to jump straight to pgadmin in my browser. Okay, here I am inside of pgadmin with my query editor ready to go. I first want to quickly show you the documentation for mathematical functions. And if you come to the pgSQL documentation and then just go to functions-math or just search for mathematical functions and operators in Google along with pgSQL, it should bring you to this page. You can also check out the URL here at the top, postgresql.org/docs/current/functions-math.html. And there's lots of different operations and functions. What we're really going to focus on throughout this course are mathematical operators because that's more common to use for business SQL queries. And the way this works is, as you may expect, it's just things like addition, subtraction, and multiplication done between columns. So you can add one column to another or subtract one column from another, etc. So it also gives you examples and then the expected results. So pretty much any mathematical operator you can think of is available to you in PostgreSQL. So this operator you type in, its description, and examples. Now, in case you happen to be doing more complex mathematical work, there's also mathematical functions. We're already familiar with one of these, which was round. Remember that rounded off a number to a certain number of decimal points. But there's things like absolute value, cube root, exponential, even logarithms are available too, and lots of different options here. So for our particular databases, we don't need to be taking anything raised to some sort of power or be converting degrees to radians, but I want to let you know that this stuff is available to you in case you need it. And there's even trigonometric functions. So there's random functions here, and then there's trigonometric functions as well as hyperbolic functions. So lots and lots of different options. So in case you find yourself needing to do some sort of complex mathematics within your SQL query, go ahead and check out this documentation page and see if the function is already available for you. Now I'm going to show you just a couple examples of how you may actually use some of those mathematical operators and functions from within pgadmin in your queries. First, let's go ahead and select everything from the film table. Go ahead and run that. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can see the results here in a little more detail. Looks like we have a film ID, as we know, title, etc. And what I'm going to focus on are things comparing the rental rate versus the replacement cost. Let's imagine I wanted to know the percentage that a rental rate versus a replacement cost happens to be. So what percentage of the replacement cost is a rental rate? So the way I can do that is the following. I simply need to calculate rental rate divided by the replacement cost. So if I run that, notice we get back this result here. And if you get it back like this, kind of squeezed down with a lot of numbers, just remember you can always expand this back out because it's keeping a lot of decimal places. So I also wanted this in terms of percent, which the first thing I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and round this off to just be 2 decimals. So we'll say round this result to be 2 points past the decimal. So if I round that, now I get to see 0.33, 0.25, etc. And then what I can do is if I wanted to get it in terms of percent, just times by 100. So then I can see 33%, 25%, etc. And if I wanted more detail there, I could say keep 4 from the original, run that, and now I get to see 33.29%, 24.96%, etc. And you can always say an alias here as something like percent cost or whatever you happen to name this column. And you can see here it's percent cost. Okay, so this is kind of typically what you would do. Let's imagine for some reason you wanted to just put small deposits down of 10% of the replacement cost. You could easily calculate that. You would just say something like 0.1 times the replacement cost, and then you can name it something like as deposit from film, run that, and we can see here we have 10% of the replacement cost for some sort of deposit program. All right, so really it's all pretty self-explanatory here. You can always jump to the documentation and explore any mathematical operators that you see fit to use. Okay, thanks, and I'll see you at the next lecture.